Hi, everybody. It's the Dead Air Horror Review Show. We're back. Chris had a little vacation. I haven't had a vacation. We're just going to say in my entire life. That's not accurate, but like my entire adult life, I haven't had a vacation. So it's fine. That's
Where
why
you
I'm
gonna
going to
go?
die. That's why I'm going to die at like 56, but it's fine. Just know when I do die, I've lived a very miserable existence.
I,
But,
I think it's
but
time to go. Where do you want to go, TJ? I would take you anywhere.
I love that. I love hearing that. I literally would go anywhere. But what I was going to say was that despite the fact that I've lived an incredibly miserable existence, I have watched a lot of movies to fill the void that is deep in my soul. And tonight we watched the 1981 slasher classic, The Burning, a film that I've never seen, but I've seen this poster, the one that's behind Chris. I've seen that poster for years, years and years and years, and I've always heard about this movie, but I didn't know anything about it. And I don't know, we were trying to kick around what we were going to watch this week, and I was like, I actually went across the list of like stuff that's on the best stuff that's on Shutter right now in August. Turns out this isn't even on Shutter anymore. So good job, whoever wrote that fucking list. But yeah, I got a lot of
You don't
thoughts.
have to be accurate to be a writer.
Yeah, well, it might have been last year. I didn't. It said August. Maybe it meant August, like not 2019. I don't know. But I have a lot of thoughts on this film, and I'm sure you do as well.
Many.
Um, so first and foremost, this is like I really should have done more research, but dear viewer and listener, you will be shocked to know that I do little to no research for any of these things. Um, I'd love to know the order of the kids go to camp murder movies. Like I want to say, I could be wrong. I do know this. Friday the 13th part 1 came out in 80. This came out in 81. I'd love to know when Sleepaway Camp came out cuz I feel like this movie The Burning feels like a shameless ripoff of Friday the 13th. Like
Uh,
it really
and
like
I guarantee the writers would even cop to that. Um,
yeah.
but the treatment for this was written in 1979.
Oh, well then it might have been first.
Yeah, and it was registered in April of 80, a month before Friday the 13th came out.
Oh, so maybe it's an Oreos Hydrox situation where are you familiar with this, Chris?
I am.
That Hydrox is actually came out before Oreos, but Oreos has the market share, and everybody thinks Oreos are the first ones, and they're superior. Uh, so it came to market first, so it beats it out because this does feel a lot like Friday the 13th, the first one specifically, and a little bit like the subsequent ones because you have the actual like monstrous slasher guy, but this really checks all the boxes of like classic kind of like slimy, sleazy 80s cheese horror movie. I mean, it's like really violent. It's full of like questionable nudity from
Yeah.
characters that are supposed to be teenagers, who all look 35. I mean, which is always funny in older movies. It's like it's funny because we've come full circle, right? Like, I don't know if you ever watched the show Euphoria, but all those people are 30-year-olds that look 17. But like back in the 80s, it was all characters that looked 30 years old playing 17-year-olds. Like it's interesting. It's
You
interesting to
really
see.
have to suspend your disbelief.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Especially,
Oh, so unprofessional.
oh my
Jesus.
god, this is my daughter. Hey Harp, I'm doing a podcast. Okay, I'll talk to you later. Bye. Bye. I love you.
Total professional, terrible father. Um
You
but
should probably
yeah.
put that on silent. Sorry to everyone involved, especially TJ. That just ate
It's
up.
fine. It's not a big deal. But yeah, so like it's hilarious because these guys are like supposed to be like, well, it's kind of weird, right? Like so first off, so this movie starts out and there are the younger versions of later characters in the movie, but like I don't know, like what was the time difference? Like 5 years
Yeah.
later?
Bye.
So they go from being like, I don't know,
Campers
15.
to
like
counselors.
14 to 18, I guess.
Yeah,
But
roughly.
like, but when they do the
Both
time
35.
jump, and they're counselors, they look the same age as the campers. It's very confusing. I was like, well, like what? Again, I mean, it doesn't really matter
It
because
doesn't.
the beauty part about this movie is like nothing really matters. Like it's kind of just about it's about the violence, it's
Mhm.
about the gore, and it's about the tits, and that's it. I
Yeah.
mean, it is not as deep as the waters that these characters constantly swim in this movie. It is very shallow,
The
but
You would think it was contrived if it wasn't for
no.
the fact that it predated a lot of classic.
Oh yeah. Well, that's what I was saying. Like I was wondering how where it fit in the like the kids getting murdered in a camp oeuvre,
Yeah.
because it is very much like it is the tropiest of these types of movies. But I will say, my personal opinion, and I'm going to get a lot of hate for this, but if we've established anything on this show, that I will kill every horror sacred cow and turn them into hamburger meat and delicious hamburger meat and eat that hamburger and love it. I am not a fan of Friday the 13th Part 1. I find that
Really?
movie incredibly boring.
Oh wow.
I love the series. I actually, my favorite Friday the 13th is Part 2. I love Sackhead Jason. Like I love the second one a lot because the second one actually reminds me of this. Because I feel like the first Friday the 13th is kind of boring, and then the reveal that it's what's her name, Pamela Voorhees, I think is kind of lame, and
Mhm.
then like the weird like half rotten zombie child thing that they tacked on the end that comes out of the water that's Jason doesn't really make any sense.
Yeah.
And I mean they admit that it doesn't make any sense. They literally just kind of stitched it on at the end of the movie. But this movie I felt like is a lot more propulsive. Like it kind of just starts and then it just keeps going. And there's a little bit of a soggy like like when the movie breaks down after really the killer has killed almost everybody when he's down to like two people and he's chasing that one guy. I felt like that chase kind of drug on and on and on.
Yeah.
But
It was
other than
hilarious though.
it's
I mean,
very good. Well, that's the thing, right? Like, so when this movie isn't hilarious, it's like very violent and like it's always entertaining. Like I felt like the dialogue's really bad, and like I texted you um yesterday watching this, but I don't know if I've ever laughed so hard. Where in the beginning of so the whole crux of this movie is that 5 years ago these kids pulled a prank on
I
this
can't
guy who was
not laugh at it because I know
it's
exactly what you're gonna say, and it's
it's
so
so
true.
fucking ridiculous. So like so this is just like a fucking again, this is just like a Friday the 13th. It's just like a Nightmare on Elm Street where it all starts because kids got in over their heads and did something fucked up to somebody. So now they wanted the fucked up person wants to do revenge. But so this guy who is like I guess a camp counselor, and again he looks like Clint Howard. Like this guy is a mess before he gets all fucked up. I mean, let's be honest.
Yeah, I don't think they had to do much makeup
No.
beforehand. Like they just found a guy who looked kind of
And
creepy.
his name is like Turby or Topsy or something. It's something
Oh,
ridiculous.
Cropsy.
Cropsy. Yeah, because that's a name you come across every day. But anyway, Cropsy is while everybody else is sleeping in like a cabin, Cropsy is like sleeping in like a tool shed for some reason.
Well,
Also,
he's the
he is
groundskeeper of
oh,
the.
he's like a groundskeeper Willie, yeah.
Yeah.
So first of all, the kids find to prank him, they find this rotting skull
Where the
where
hell
they
did they
found
find that?
I mean, did they go to like the fucking graveyard? Like, what the fuck was that? Because I don't know about you, but I thought it was just gonna be like fireworks or
That's what
something.
I thought. Yeah.
And also that makes more sense with what ends up happening.
Yeah.
It's almost like, well, they found this weird rotting skull, and then they had to figure out a way to make this guy burn himself alive. So he fucking knocks over
Hold
how
on.
does he get I missed
Back
it.
up
I
just
fucked
a
up,
tad
yeah.
because they put these kids were so fucked up and calculated. They
Right.
put candles in the eye sockets.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
So not only did they find a rotting skull, which should have been reported to the
Yeah,
authorities,
yeah, I think so.
um, they decorated it with candles, and then put it on his nightstand and started banging it on the window. So when he woke up,
Yeah,
naturally,
freaks out. That's
why
it.
is there a rotting skull
With candles,
yeah,
a birthday party, rotting
it looks
skull.
like a prop from Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
I
And
mean, that's a good pull. It literally looks like that skull that like opens Texas Chainsaw
yeah,
Massacre that's on the like tombstone or whatever. So then he
go ahead.
knocks over
Carry
he
on.
knocks over the birthday candles, and for some reason has an open can of gas next to where he sleeps, as you to do. I mean, as you want to do. I I don't know. I've never slept in a shed, but like I feel like generally you shouldn't keep open canisters of gasoline
I mean,
just
if he
out.
didn't die that night, he wasn't going to last much longer
I
from
mean, would
all those
I
things.
I don't know this for a fact, but wouldn't you at least get sick from the gas fumes, like in a fucking like I don't know.
Maybe you just get used to it after a while.
I guess, or
Maybe he
maybe that's how he
sleeping.
put
Maybe
himself
he
to
was,
sleep.
yeah,
Yeah, he just
he was
knocking
high.
himself out, huffing gas. But anyway, the fact that it cuts to him knocking over an open gas can sent me into hysterics. I was like, why is there an open gas can on this guy's floor?
But listener, it gets better
It
because
gets
if you watch closely to the scene,
yeah,
they obviously hired like a professional stunt person
sure.
that wore like an outfit, but not just that. It looked like they were wearing like this oversized military helmet
Yeah. It's like he
to
turns into he
protect the
turns into
stunt.
like a helicopter pilot for like 4 frames. You're like, what the fuck? Anyway, so that happens, and then it cuts to black, and you get the like 5 years later, and then you get the hilarious like this guy, and like you can't see his face, and he's like picking up a prostitute, and the prostitute presumably was in like pitch black like I understand that he was wearing like a hat and a long coat, but like that doesn't like you're still gonna see his like weird fucked up melted face. But she's just like also her dialogue is just fucking hilarious.
Uh,
Like she's like, oh, she's like, you want to keep your hat on your shoes, huh? That's okay. I got all kinds of fellas that like to do that. And then like it's fucking hilarious because like she's murdered and like the guy's murder weapon is great. It's just like, well, he doesn't kill her with the shears at first, right? Doesn't he
no,
kill her with like
uh,
regular scissors that are on
yeah,
like her dresser or something?
yeah.
So he loves scissors. So first he gets like regular and he stabs her in the chest. And again, like it's not supposed to be funny, but her like death scream is like it killed me. She sounded like a turkey. And it was funny because like I'm sure you probably have this problem too. I think most people do. But I was watching this and it's mixed really bad. So like her like the dialogue was kind of too low, but then when she started like screaming and like clucking like a chicken, like that shit was like super loud. So I was like, I wonder what the
Yeah.
fuck my neighbors think I'm watching
Oh, I
because it's
had
just
to
like
turn it the volume down
yeah.
because I didn't want my kids to hear it. I mean,
Oh yeah.
from a technical standpoint, this movie was a complete mess.
Oh my god.
No, like I don't even want to get started on the continuity of the film,
Oh.
like how it
Oh yeah.
jumps from like a night scene
Oh
to
yeah.
like a dusk scene,
Yeah.
just probably because they're like, we need better lighting. Like, let's
Yeah.
make this.
They probably just shot this thing in like 3 days and they're like, we
Yeah,
got to get this shit done. There's a hilarious scene where the like fucking alpha male guy who
Glazer,
Glazer, that was his name.
Glazer.
Also, by the way, and I don't know, I was alive in the 80s, but I never bought any condoms. They sell unlubricated condoms. That's a thing because that
Yeah,
sounds like a fucking nightmare.
it sounds
How the
awful.
hell does that work?
Right.
I mean, dear listener, I have had sex before, and at least once, and I don't know if I could think of anything worse in my life than an unlubricated condom.
Oh, why?
Um,
I mean,
also,
hey, listen, different
that
strokes for
scene
different
in
folks.
general is hilarious because Jason Alexander, he goes to the commissary to buy porno mags and rubbers. It's like what the fuck?
And
Anyway,
he even used the term spermicide at one
yes.
point, which you don't often hear when somebody's trying to flirt with someone. Drop
No.
the word spermicide.
Also, the scene I was talking about where Glazer Grazer he
Glazer.
has also just full disclosure. this movie, if you're at all sensitive to, and I mean, of course you probably will be, but like if you're sensitive at all to like on-screen depictions of like fucking sexual assault, you might want to stay away from this one, because the writers and directors of this movie have a very curious notion of what like dating a woman is like. Because every woman in this movie is like, I don't want to have sex, and then they have sex, and it's like, oh yeah, this is great, and it's like, what the fuck is this movie?
That's a perfect segue into why the backstory of this movie is so important.
Oh wow,
Because
okay, great.
because this is the first film that Harvey Weinstein and his brother
Oh
Bob made.
no.
Yes. So
Oh
I
no.
did a little digging, and they were. I don't know much about them. I didn't care to know much about them,
I mean,
but
I know that they were producers. That's that,
they were huge. Well, according to them, of course, music promoters back in the '70s in Buffalo, New York,
Oh, I had no idea.
made a shit ton of money,
Yeah.
and they're like, we wanted to get into the movie game.
Mhm.
So they wanted to cash in on this slasher craze. That's how,
Oh.
and they threw their money towards it. Um, and it gave, well, this was the first on film appearance by Jason Alexander from Seinfeld. Holly,
Hilarious to see him in this. I'm
yeah,
sorry, who else was it?
Fisher Stevens and Holly Hunter.
Okay. Wait,
Um,
Holly Hunter is in this movie? Where
he
did I
has
miss
a
that?
very small role. She's one of the campers.
Oh, no shit.
She doesn't have much of a speaking role, but she's in there.
Okay.
Um, and when I see these like fucked up, pervy, sexual, um, completely unnecessary scenes.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, this is really gross. I feel filthy. Don't forget, like Bob and Harvey Weinstein. I won't even include Bob because I don't know what his involvement is during the
I'm
whole
sure
thing.
just as bad. I mean, let's
Yeah,
be honest.
probably.
Yeah.
But Harvey Weinstein had a hand in writing this,
I mean,
so
I'm not surprised. And well, also like it's part and partial to what like this genre movie is, right? Like cuz you're getting people in the seats because it's sleazy and
yeah,
and violent. Like you're hitting all the grindhousey kind of buttons. And I mean, the thing is like I mean, there's been tons of jokes. Like there's a great episode of It's Always Sunny where they have like the like ski competition, and that whole episode is kind of a parody of like what the 80's movies were.
mhm.
And there's like a joke where they room with these guys. The guy, actually the real actor, was in ski school, so that's like the joke. But he's like, let's prank the girls, and his idea of a prank is to like cut a hole in the
Wow,
fucking women's shower, and they're all just like, that's not a prank, man. That's like sexual assault.
it's
And
like
that's this
Porky. Remember Porky?
exactly. Oh yeah, all of them, but all of them are like that. But this movie especially is like the scene with Glazer, right? Like his girlfriend is literally like, no, stop, like
Yeah,
louder and more frequently than anything else. And then it's just like, ah, okay. And it's like, I don't know, man. Like again, I'm no like, I don't know. I've
yeah,
seen
it's not right.
it's
And
very uncomfortable. And then there's another character. I don't remember any of the characters' names, but there's one character that is explicitly like a creep, and then like he tries to get with this one girl, and then is like,
Alfred,
she's kind of into it for a while, but then she like it's I think she gets freaked out, and then he's like, what'd you come out here for, you fucking slut or whatever. It's like,
oh
oh
yeah,
my
yeah, that guy.
god, like yikes,
Well, also
man.
Alfred, who's like the nerdy one. Um,
Yeah.
he's like a peeping tom that's spying on this girl in the shower.
And
He
he's like the
caught.
hero of the movie.
Yeah, he gets caught, and you they want you to feel bad for him because I'll give you the dialogue. I'll paraphrase it because I can't give it verbatim, but
Sure.
the gist of it was, "I'm sorry, I just don't have any friends."
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
As if that's an excuse to go spying on a girl in the shower. Like, feel sorry for me. I don't have any friends. This is all I've got. You
Yeah, yeah. This movie is fucking wild. And then you wonder why fucking boomers don't understand what fucking consent is. And I mean, yeah, I know it's like a fucking fake movie and all, but like and not to get too fucking social about this shit, but like people saw this and probably didn't think there was any problem with these characters
Yeah.
and the way things were. So it's very, I don't know, man. Like
What
some
you
of
were
these
saying
scenes were
about
like,
if you're sensitive about, levels of sexual assault and perversion and like that I feel like that's most
Well,
80s.
and I think that's the thing that for me, the thing that's the most offensive about it is it's just ubiquitous in this movie. Like it's not
Yeah,
like that's the point of the movie, or it's not like to point it out like, oh, these characters are like an asshole and they get what they deserve. No, these characters are portrayed as like innocent people, and it's like, ugh,
yeah.
I don't know, man. Again, I guess maybe I'm getting soft to my old age, but that shit was like, I was uncomfortable watching some of these scenes, and not like the violent scenes. Like we haven't even gotten to like. There's some really great like gore in this movie. That scene where uh fucking dying. The killer kills all those kids on the boat and he's just like
Oh,
chopping
yeah,
fingers off and shit.
yeah.
That's awesome.
And you know why that's awesome?
Hmm.
Because Tom Savini,
Oh, he was involved in this.
they convinced him to come work
Well,
on
you can
the film.
tell. You
Yeah,
can tell. I mean,
that's right, because I thought the same exact thing. I was like, "This is actually, I mean, for a campy horror slasher, like, this is pretty good." And
the
then
gore, yeah, the gore is fantastic in this movie. Like it
but then
really is.
so, Savini turned down the chance to work when the chance, I mean, they would have loved for him to work on Friday the 13th Part 2,
Yeah. Well,
but
he worked on one, I
he
think.
worked on
He's the
1,
isn't
but he
he the
turned
I'm
down
pretty
2
yeah. I'm
because he
oh,
didn't
because he
like
was
the
doing
logic
this.
behind the movie.
Oh, yeah.
He didn't like the fact that Jason was a grown up and he was the killer, and he was like, "This doesn't make any sense."
I think he
So
eventually came back to the series, if I'm not
eventually
mistaken.
came back,
I think
but
he
he liked
designed.
the script for The Burning more, so
Yeah,
he went with that.
yeah. Well, he did great. The one of the places that this film shines is the fucking effects. Like the effects are great. Like they're really well done, and like I love how brutal they are. I mean, like you don't really see people like put their hands up and then just all their fingers are gone. Like that shit is awesome.
That was
Like
Victor Stevens' character. That was great.
I fucking love that. And then I loved how that scene ended with just like the dead hand in the water. And it's funny because like you could tell that they wanted like more blood to come
Mhm.
down and flow in, but they only had that one
It
little
does one little
stream.
trickle.
And that was pretty funny. But like overall, like I felt like that really kept me in the movie because like I thought that it was just so fucking like violent and over the top. I was like, holy shit. Like it kind of reminded me, and it makes sense that it's Savini, because it kind of reminded me of Savini's well, I didn't know it was Savini at the time, but it kind of reminds me of the effects that he did in the movie. Have you seen the movie Maniac?
Yep.
That movie is like also very like visceral and violent. I mean, there's a scene that he shot, and I believe it's Tom Savini himself that gets blown apart with a shotgun in that
Oh,
movie in
really?
like the front seat of a car. Yeah, I think Savini is the guy that gets shot if memory serves. But it's awesome. I mean, it's just like that movie is like crazy violent. It has a lot of like stabbings. Like stabbing is a very like intimately disgusting
Yeah.
violent act, and it's if it's done right it can look really good on screen, and I think they did
The
a
part
great
with the
job there.
prostitute, like that
I
gave
thought it looked awesome.
I was
Like it
like,
looked,
"Ooh, I"
if it wasn't for her goofy screaming I would have stopped laughing, but it looked awesome.
Yeah,
They did a great job. I mean, again, like you said, you know, continuity wise this movie's a mess. Directionally, like the acting is really bad, but again, like you kind of like this is a sidebar, but I feel like you almost want the bad acting. The bad acting kind of enhances the movie a little bit. It makes it more interesting to watch. Because like it's kind of a piece, right? Like I know they aren't they're not intentionally being bad actors, but like them being bad actors makes the movie work
yeah,
because it makes it more earnest, if that makes any sense.
right.
Um but like and then like the half-hearted attempt to like characterize these characters is funny, and I don't know, like the like campfire chats of them being like horny is kind of fun. Like this movie is very horny. Like this is like a very horny movie. Like yeah, I mean, look even the poster behind you. Like it's them getting murdered and them making out in the river or whatever. It's like
Yeah,
I, I I don't
I know.
I don't know. I never went to like summer camp as a kid. I guess I should
Yeah.
have because I just would have fucked. I guess I don't know. Like
Or watch someone else fuck.
I mean, either way, I mean, that's fine. I mean, you know, at that age, you're just fucking, you know, fucking anything. So
You'd be
that's
the
cool.
Alfred of the crew.
I mean, with consent.
Of course, that goes without
um,
saying.
Yeah, but this movie is it's so weird because it's such a roller coaster for me of like stuff that I like and then stuff that I absolutely hate. But then like it kind of evens out at the end where I was like, well, that was an entertaining watch. Because again, like it doesn't overstay its welcome either. I think it's like right at an hour and a half. Like this movie is just like in and out, bing bang boom, and it's done.
Yeah.
So um
Yeah, if you're not laughing, you're like you're gasping or you're like admiring the
yeah,
terrible dialogue or
admiring when what's his name, Ding Dong has sex again, pushy weird sex,
uh,
and when he has sex with her it's like nighttime, but then when he gets up to pee it's like in the middle of the night and then kind of in the morning, and you're like, wait, how, what, how? Also, my man is like a fucking, like he's not even a one pump chump. This guy got like
uh,
he didn't even get a pump, he got inserted and came. I was like, man, that's impressive. My man with a condom on, this guy
yeah.
came in like 15 seconds. That is just,
Well, I'm
I mean,
glad that they made like the asshole jock character
yeah,
prematurely
impotent.
dead.
Like my man, jerk off before you get there. I mean, good lord, that is pretty embarrassing.
Yeah, it's
Maybe
like
that's what
I would have loved this film, but it's just like the fact that the Weinsteins had any involvement in it.
I had no idea. Yeah, sometimes it's best not to know.
Yeah,
But then again, I mean, the Weinsteins had a lot to do with a lot of like every
that's true.
Tarantino movie, and I
Right.
love Tarantino movies, and
Yeah.
that he wouldn't have had a career without the Weinstein. So you just kind of, yeah, that sucks. But what are you gonna do?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I love Rosemary's Baby, but like Roman Polanski is a fucking monster. So
That's true.
sometimes you have to do a little compartmentalization. And I guess that's not like praxis or whatever, but I'm not gonna sit here and be like, oh, Rosemary's Baby sucks, because
Well,
it's a
yeah,
good,
the actors and the writers or whatever shouldn't be punished for this.
yeah. And I mean, they're all probably like, well, the law of averages, right? Like some of those people are probably shitheads too that we don't know
Yeah.
about. You know what I mean? Like it's just one of those things. It's just a shitty part of life where you're just like, oh, that sucks. Like, I don't know.
So where do you think this falls in line in terms of the other 80s horror slashers that you've seen? Like, does
That's
it
it.
stack up to
That's
the
a great question. I mean, I think it does. I think it does. I think I can understand why this has such a following. I
Yeah.
mean, again, I think that the gore, and I know I keep referring to it, but it's so strong. I feel like that alone,
Mhm.
like, makes it stand above a lot of its peers because the effects are just better. And I mean, in these types of movies, like the kills are one of the most important aspects of it. I think that the kills are great. I think that the villain is memorable enough. Like I think that the shears is like a really
It's
cool, like
yeah.
that's a cool weapon. That's a like, and visually, like I liked a lot of the times where they showed him. I mean, like that the silhouette in the background of that poster, like that shot where he's like completely silhouetted with the shears. Like that's cool. When eventually you see his fucking hilariously melted face, that
That
part was fun.
apparently also, little fun fact, Tom Savini like created that mask like
Mhm.
in between takes in his trailer. They're just like kind of gave him a broad idea and he like threw something
That's
together.
that's fucking sick. That dude is
He
amazing.
is he's
Also, you want to talk about someone super horny? Tom Savini, everybody.
oh, I know with
I
all his like shirtless pics.
I love the guy. Well, I remember one time, a million years ago, I met him at the Pittsburgh Comic Con. I must have been uh, 15, 16 years old. And I was talking to him, and he said something about how like I needed to stop talking because he needed some. I want to say his exact quote was, "Kid, you need to stop talking because some top tier pussy walked into the room." I'm
He's,
like, "Mm."
it's,
Yeah. Well,
he's saying this to a minor.
to me, yeah. Well, and he wanted me to shut up because he was trying to get some. I and
Because he
I
couldn't he
will.
couldn't multitask.
I will give him the benefit of the doubt and say that these women were above age, but I don't remember. But I'm. But anyway,
God.
I thought that to get back to your point, I think that there's a lot of good. Also, to the final scene with the showdown with the guy, the killer is hilarious because like he's like got a he's got like a blowtorch, and the other like somehow the other guy, the counselor kid, is able to like ward him off just by going like this, and they stall for what seems like an hour, and it's like just shoot him with the blowtorch anyway.
Yeah.
But yeah, how do you feel about it? We got about 5 minutes, so we're wrapping up.
Yeah, I
Where
didn't
does this
hate it.
rank for you in like the '80s classics?
I mean, I wouldn't put it in my top 5, but I would
Hmm.
say, you know, top 10, especially like for uh, just discovering this for the
Yeah,
first
yeah,
time. I'm like kind of blown away at the fact that I had never heard this before. And I feel
yeah,
like this is something that deserves to be up there.
yeah.
Um
I agree.
and rank with the other ones. My head keeps getting cut off. I look like a um oh,
You
see that?
losing your
I look
hair.
like I was bald for a second. Um But, I think, like you said, like, even though the dialogue wasn't great,
No,
it sounds odd, like you said, but the fact that it wasn't great acting somehow
right.
made it better because, you have a lot
Yeah,
of
it makes it.
actors,
Well, there's no.
make it
I think it's because the script is so fucking bad. So like, it takes if you had like good actors with this terrible script, it's boring. But like their
right,
bad acting makes it compelling because it's kind of funny because they're delivering these terrible lines so poorly.
and they're first time actors, they're trying so hard to
Yeah,
get the
exactly.
performance
Yeah,
of their lives,
yeah. They're putting
for this this might be
they're
it for them.
putting their yeah, they're putting their all into this. Like Jason Alexander from this goes to make that like McDLT commercial, and then it's 20 years till Seinfeld comes out, you know?
Um, yeah, but I thought it was really good. I would like to watch it again. I
Yeah. Watch it with your kids.
actually had to fast through a lot,
Yeah.
a
Uh,
lot. But yeah, I got to go back and watch it again.
cool.
I thought it was really good, so I'm glad you recommended it.
Yeah, I'm glad I recommended it as well. Number score, I guess.
Why don't you go first? We have
I'm gonna give this an 8.5. I really enjoyed this
really good.
movie. Again, it's not without its problems, and it is very problematic, but I found it thoroughly enjoyable, and I will rewatch this movie. I this is a perfect like if somebody wants to sit down and they want to watch a cheesy '80s slasher movie, this is perfect.
It's the
this fits the
definition of 80s slasher. I feel like.
exactly. This hits all the right notes, and visually it's interesting enough to keep you entertained. It doesn't overstay its welcome. And again, to me, like a lot the problems with like stuff like Sleepaway Camp and Friday the 13th Part 1, I think it's they have their kind of boring moments because there's a lot of parts in those movies where they try to be like real movies. This movie doesn't ever try to be a fucking real movie, and it just kind of like propels itself. It's like it can't stop. It just keeps going. So yeah, 8.5 for me.
And to the credit of the movie makers for this one, like they paced themselves. They didn't
Yeah.
do like 20 kills within 5 minutes.
Mm-mm.
It was pretty well paced throughout the movie, which I was like,
Yeah.
it keeps
And
you
and
engaged.
and you did have the one scene though where you had like 5 kills at once, but that was like probably the best scene in the whole movie.
Yeah,
I love that.
yeah. I would give this probably a 7, 8.
That's a fair number. It's still pretty high.
I'm just thinking like comparing it to other 80s slashers movies, like there's others that I like more, but this one is really, really good. I highly recommend it.
Yeah, I agree. And if you can find it streaming, I guarantee it's probably on Tubi or something.
Yeah,
I
I've
would
got it
definitely.
on Amazon Prime. If you have a subscription to Amazon Prime, you can get it for free.
Oh, there you go. And there's a new Blu-ray that just came out, I believe by Arrow Video. So check that out. Arrow Video, if you're listening, give us a sponsorship. I buy all your shit. I really do. Um, but yeah, this was a fun one. So I don't know what we're watching next week, but stay tuned. We'll figure it out. So yeah,
Yeah,
we'll see you guys next week, and don't forget to always get consent, please, dear God.
yeah,
Don't be like the men in this movie. That's my closing thoughts. Use this movie as a template of how not to act, please,
right.
dear Lord.
This should be a they should have a Me Too poster
Yeah,
in combination with
Yeah.
this movie post with this.
Andrew Tate like whacks off to this movie. He's like, this is exactly how people should act. But anyway. All right, Chris. I'll see you, buddy.
All right, see you, TJ.
Bye,
Bye.
podcast people. Bye.